Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to my next project, which is, as I've shown previously, Cookie Tin Ukulele. I'm going to make two of them, but I'm starting with this one. Okay, so first of all, the tin itself, just an ordinary cookie or biscuit tin, I prefer to call them. Obviously this is a little bit smaller than a ukulele body. Let me just get one to compare it with. Okay, so this is a soprano ukulele body, so if I compare that to the size of this tin, it's really not that much in it. Let's get that at a good angle. Hardly any difference really. So it is almost the same size, and even the width. So it's a very good size to make a soprano cookie tin ukulele. So that's the tin, and I've got two necks. I've got another tin as well. So I have off camera just made a start on it. So if I just take the lid off. Tight. So inside I've already put the neck block and the tail block. Just, you know, kind of rough chunks of wood. And yeah, okay, they're pretty thick. Are they overkill? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you know, it obviously does add some strength. Obviously top and bottom, because without these they would just flex everywhere and you'd have nothing to attach things to. So they're glued in, and I've also made some braces. So two of them the same. You can see they're kind of cut out, and they will go top and bottom in the middle there. So one right at the base and one at the top. So we've got two of those braces. As I said, one for the top, one for the bottom. I didn't show, you know, any of this, didn't video any of it, because it's not that exciting. Just cutting pieces of wood to fit inside a tin. It's not that exciting. And once again, I'll just show you in comparison to the standard soprano ukulele body, almost the same size. Which should mean that I don't need to extend the neck. However, I did anyway. Just to make sure I've got plenty of room for the, you know, the bridge at the bottom end of the body, with some meat behind the bridge as well, so it's not too close to the base of the tin. And you know, it'll just help with resonance a bit better, and for intonation. So and I've also put a strap button in the bottom of the tin. Obviously that's not needed yet, but there are two reasons I put that in. First of all, to help to hold that tail block in while the glue was setting. And I'm just going to leave it in there, because when I come to set up the intonation for the bridge, I will need something to temporarily attach the strings to at the bottom. So that strap button will be ideal for that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so as I said, I've got the two necks, and I've put the extension block on both of them. It's only, let me just take a quick measurement of the depth of that block, 12 to 30, I'd say 30, yeah, between 12 and 13 millimeters, whoa, or roughly half an inch. So just give me a little bit extra for, you know, for bridge placement and intonation. So, as I said, I've got the extension on each one. I'll come back to that shortly. Now, on this neck, if I show you up close, you'll see at the back we've got a knot through the wood there. Now this is the back of the headstock. We've got a big knot in the wood. Now that did go right the way through, and it showed at the front. Doesn't anymore. How come, you ask? Well, what I've done is I put a veneer over the headstock. You can obviously see the colour change there, and I really don't know if you're going to see the thickness. It's probably not going to focus. The thickness of that veneer is 1 millimetre thick. Okay, so yeah, as I said, there's a big knot there. I'm not worried about the back, but it showed through at the front as well, and it wasn't pretty. So I put a veneer on the front of the headstock. These cheap ones, they don't come with a veneer. Most headstocks do have one. So the other neck is similar, but this one doesn't have any knots in the headstock itself. But let me just show you on the other one again. You see the joint there where the headstock is attached to the neck. I wish they were just one solid piece of wood, but they attach them on there. So you can see the join there on the back, obviously not on the front, but you can see it on the back there. Now on this one, you can just about see it at the back, across there, see the joint, but at the front, that is horrific, really bad. And there were dips in there as well. I filled in the dips. I made some wood filler and filled them in, but you can obviously see them really bad. Now, this part will be covered up by the fretboard and the nut, but this part won't. So I'm going to make a veneer for this headstock as well, to cover that up on the headstock part. And as I said, the rest of it will be covered by the fretboard and the nut, but that will still be there, and it doesn't matter how much paint or lacquer or anything else I put on there, you're always going to see it. It's going to look horrible. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm actually going to plug my charger in before the battery dies. That would be terrible. Okay. That was close. Battery was about to die. Okay, so I'm going to make a veneer for this headstock. So let me just angle the camera down and I'll show you what I'm doing and how. Let's get a good placement for that. I'm going to need to zoom in a bit. Okay, probably angle down a little bit more to try and get a bit closer with the camera. Okay, how's that? That's good. I think. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so I need to make a veneer for this headstock. Now the front face of that is smooth enough to glue a veneer to. So how I made this, and as I said, that's the one I've put on here, is 1 millimetre thick. So what I've done is I've cut a piece out of the top of an old guitar. So you can still see this has still got the varnish on it, or lacquer, or whatever it is. And we've got the rough shape of the headstock there. Now, this, as I said, is from the top of an old guitar. Now this is 3 millimetres thick, so it's way too thick for a veneer on this headstock. So the first thing I need to do, and you can see on the back, that one of the layers is starting to split. Well, that's okay, because I'm going to peel this layer off. So I'm going to start with a sharp chisel, okay, and I'm going to very carefully just peel off this layer. I mean, obviously, this is laminate wood, so we've got several layers of really, really thin wood, and I'm going to start, as I said, by stripping off this layer as carefully as I can. The difficult part is actually getting it started. Once you've got it started, it tends to go fairly easily if you take your time and do it carefully. But it is quite tricky, particularly to get it started. And because the guitar that this came off was fairly good quality, I wouldn't say top notch, but fairly good. Although the top is laminate, it's well made, it's well glued together, all of the layers are really well stuck together. So, got a little bit of a challenge to peel this layer off, but You can see I've made a start, so once I can get underneath a substantial piece of it, so you can see it kind of peels off. There we go. Once I've got it started, it goes fairly easily, but I've got to take my time. I've got to be really careful and not cut through 2 layers at once. Okay, so as I said, this is the tricky part, just getting it started. We'll approach it from different angles. Sometimes some parts will be more stuck than others. You might, struggle to get it lifted on one side, so then you'd have to approach it from the other side. It's quite typical actually. The one I did for the other neck, it went much quicker than this. I was practically halfway done by this time, but such is life. As I said, I can't rush it because, I'll just make a complete mess of it. And to be fair, I think my chisel is a little bit dull as well. Okay, it's coming. It's not a quick process. You've got to take your time, be careful. But wherever I can, if I can get nice big chunks like that coming up, and get underneath it, I can get a decent sized piece off. Yeah, I mean, oh, there we go, look at that. Nice big piece coming up there. That's it. So some of it, as I said, is, it will come up quite easily, where the glue hasn't adhered quite so well as some of the other places. You'll get some easy parts and some not so much. You've got to kind of chip away at it. It's quite satisfying doing this sort of thing. I really do need to sharpen this chisel though if I'm gonna do this. That should be alright. Making decent progress on it. I wish I was able to use the pause and or time lapse on my camera while it's running, but I can't. It's, I do need, and I've said it before, I do need to upgrade my camera equipment, but I don't like to spend too much money, although I should, for the quality of the videos really, and I will when the budget will allow, which is not right now. So even the you can still see little bits of it there. If I carefully just scrape at it with the chisel flat, they do come off. And as I said, I don't want to go through 2 layers of this wood. I only want to take this 1 layer off right now. And I want to get it as flat and smooth as possible because that will be the gluing side against the headstock. So I need it to be nice and clean. I'm going to try a different chisel, but that's kind of lost its edge. Might be better. That's better. Oh, that's much better. Okay, that's going to speed things up a little bit. And it's a wider one as well, so it's not necessarily always the best way to go with delicate jobs like this, but I think it will be fine. Also got to be careful not to cut my fingers as well. I keep doing that. A little cut on my thumb that I did yesterday. Actually did that on a drill bit. So yeah, sometimes a decent sized chunk will come off. How are we doing for time? Oops, yes. Run away with me a little bit already. 14 minutes. So as I've said before, with these cameras that I use, they automatically cut off at like 26 minutes in conjunction with YouTube policy about, you know, videos being any longer than 30 minutes, you know, have sort of more restrictions on them. It's a good thing in a way, because I do prefer to keep my videos fairly short, and I think 30 minutes or less is a good number, really. You know, watching me do this kind of thing for an hour and a half wouldn't be all that entertaining. So, you know, as I said, I'm quite happy with the videos being sort of, you know, 25 minutes maximum. Works for me quite well. And as you can see, I'm a little over halfway. Changing to this sharper chisel has certainly helped and speeded things up a bit. Getting there, almost there. So I've come to another piece now where it seems to be well stuck. So it's slowing down a little bit, but we're getting there. Fingers out of the way. There we go, it's a nice sized piece just come off. Go the other way. A bit trickier this way, but. Ooh. That's the other thing as well, I've got to be careful. Obviously already it's, you know, considerably thinner, and obviously that makes it very weak and fragile as well, so I've got to be careful not to snap the thing in half, which I almost did just then. There we go. I'm trying to do it in a way that you can see what I'm doing, but do it efficiently for me as well. See. Okay, we're almost there. A few little bits to go this side. Okay, well that's most of it off. I've just now got to scrape off the few remaining little bits and pieces, which doesn't take long. And the good thing is, it's a different colour, so you can see quite well where the little bits are that you need to scrape off, which is really handy. Right, that's not far off at that. A little bit more, just scrape off here and there. A little bit of glue there. Now's the time. Okay, not too bad. Right, that's all that layer scraped off. And I should have had a piece to compare it to, but you can probably see now it's already considerably thinner. I'm not sure how thick this is that I've just stripped off. Probably almost a millimetre, I would say. 0.8 or so. Right, let's get those chisels out of the way. And now I want some coarse sandpaper, which I did have actually. There it is. Bit of 120 just to smooth off the rest of that, remove any little bits of glue and loose bits of wood. It doesn't have to be baby bottom smooth. In fact, it's slightly better if it's got a little bit of roughness to it for good glue adhesion, but you know, flat, obviously, flat and level, because it's going on top of the headstock face, which is obviously dead flat. So too much undulation on this, it would show, and it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't stick properly, and you'd see gaps everywhere, and it's kind of a waste of time. I mean, this isn't the proper way to do veneering, but you know, I'm doing it cheap, quick, dirty method, and it works. There you go. I mean, it works. So why not? Costing me absolutely nothing. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so now I need to glue that to the surface of this headstock. I'll just measure it up, make sure we've still got plenty of meat there, and we do, all the way around. So that's all good. Okay, so I will need some clamps and some glue and a very expensive glue spreader. Okay, so first let me just block up a little bit. Okay, so a decent smear of glue on the front of the headstock, but you know what I'm going to say, very as thin as possible, but 100% coverage. So should be enough, but I might need to put a little bit more on. I don't want too much on there because I don't want a huge amount of glue squeeze out. Actually, that might be enough. It'll drop more here where the join is. Okay, that's good, quite happy with that. Tissue, a little bit of tissue, want that glue off my finger. Okay, so now let me just turn that over. I'll put that on there and the headstock down on top of there. Okay, quite happy with that. Ish. I've got lots of, you know, extra meat all the way around. Whoa, that's what it looks like at the top, but that's going to be coming off. So get a few clamps on there now. So I'll start with one at the end there. Just clamp it down lightly for now. Okay, so you can see where it sort of comes over that the end of the headstock there onto the neck. So I'll get another one down this end. Right. The reason I'm not taking that top layer off now is because I actually found out earlier that when I was doing the other one that these clamps do mark the top of the wood, so I'll do it while I've still got that on there, the clamping, and then take that off afterwards later. Right, so one there, I have one at this edge here. I want to make sure I get really good clamping on this so that it's properly stuck all the way across it, up and down. The last thing you want is for your veneer to start coming loose on the headstock. That would be pretty bad. Okay, so I've got 3 across the top there, got 1 across that bit there, at the base if you like. So let's move that out of the way now. So now I'll put 1 on this side. This is. How's the time? Oh, I'm running out of time. Right, real quick, get this finished. Right, squeeze all those clamps down. Okay, so that's it all clamped down, and it looks as though it's nice and even pressure all the way around. So that's that part done. I'm obviously going to leave that to dry before I do any extra work on that. So that's the end of part 1 of the cookie tin ukulele build, or Cookielele. Is that a name? Well, it is now. Okay, so that's the end of part 1. In the next part, I will be doing more work on the other neck, which I will show you in part 2. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other, and we will see you soon. Peace out.